we'll have two tier lists: best free-to-play silver farming vehicles, and then best premium silver farming vehicles for USA. We also gonna rank only the best options, so we're gonna leave out meme and vehicles that just don't farm silver out of the question, just to save time. Starting with free-to-play, where we have my favorite M4A3 E276W Super Jumbo, which is absolutely amazing in every single way possible. Because it has insane armor, great cannon, yes, does require the knowledge of where to shoot to penetrate some guys, and enough brain cells to point frontal plate towards the enemy, but if you manage to get it all done, it's absolutely amazing. Just don't take it to any hard BRs, because your armor won't mean anything over there and your jumbo will get depressed. It goes straight to S tier, no questions asked. T26E5 and T26E11. You want more armor? You take E5. You want more penetration? You take E11. They are both great heavy tanks. They are a little bit slow though. I personally like E11 a little bit more because that extra penetration helped me to deal with King Tiger's a little bit easier. It's a skill issue, bro. But both tanks are great for farming silver, so they go straight to A tier. M26, good solid medium tank that is a little bit closer towards the heavy tank side because it is a little bit slower, but it does have that extra armor which does bounce a shot here and there. It also requires good knowledge of weak spots. However, once you learn the weak spots, it's great and goes straight to A tier. XM803, crazy fast dude that is insanely mobile and sometimes bounces a shot here and there. I personally love this thing because it offers this incredibly aggressive gameplay. So it goes to S tier. It's absolutely fantastic. M103. At first I thought this is going to be a pile of trash, but once I got my hands on it, I actually started loving it because it has great armor, great penetration, but trash damage if you use anything else but the stock shell. Plus, reload is insanely long for the damage that it deals, and it's not fast at all. So even though it is a very good vehicle, it goes to B tier because low damage and long reload combo will increase your time per kill, which will in turn reduce your silver per hour gain. M1 Abrams, solid good vehicle, which is very fast, has great mobility, 5-second reload with aces. However, it has pretty much no armor at all and no teammates, as your teammates will be filled with a lot of beginners that bought high tier premium tanks, but they don't really know how to play the game yet, so they just gonna die and feed your enemies. So it's difficult to play with because of teams, but the Abrams itself is a high skill, high reward vehicle. It's very, very strong. And if you're playing with friends, obviously it would just rank a little bit higher for you. But if you're playing solo, it goes to B tier. Not because it's bad, it's an amazing vehicle, but the teams, listen, they just gonna give you brain damage, right? IPM and A1A1 Abrams. A1A1 is a little bit better because it has that extra penetration for the better cannon that it has. If you like playing high tiers, they are pretty good options. However, they go to B tier, not because they're bad, just like with the Abrams, but because in these tiers, there are a lot more one-death levers. There's plenty of massive maps, there's helicopters, there's also drones, and so on and so forth, which will reduce your silver per hour gain because you'll have to pay for repairs a little bit more frequently because guess what? You're gonna take out a dude, he's gonna jump into a drone and just cry bomb you. So, I mean, it is annoying. So yeah, that reduces your silver per hour, and that's why they go to B tier. And now, M4 Sherman. Even though it's absolutely amazing, it's one of my most favorite tanks because it has a stabilizer in such a low tier. It has a fantastic 50 cal machine gun, great cannon which deals insane damage. The fact that it is rank 2 means that it has pretty much no silver multiplier. And because we're ranking silver farming, it puts my favorite Sherman to D tier. It's still a great option for beginners, but it just doesn't farm any silver at all. And same applies for M4A1, which is also a fantastic vehicle, which has this godlike cannon. But because silver multiplier is pretty much non-existent for this thing, it has to go to C tier because it's just not gonna bring you any silver, even though you get a lot of kills with it. On a lighter note, T1E1, not the 91, the normal one. It has a pretty good silver multiplier and it has the same bonuses. Great cannon, fantastic speed for a heavy tank, has a secondary cannon which is insanely good for baiting out enemies and finishing off smaller tanks. Also quite a solid amount of armor. Tigers won't really care about that armor too much, but at a long distance, you will bounce a shot or two. So yeah, it definitely goes straight to A tier. If like it's pretty close to S tier, but yeah, A tier. MBT-70, pretty much the same as my favorite XM803, but it does feel a little bit worse because it has a bit less armor and turret rotation speed is a little bit slower as well. However, it is faster at going backwards and it has that 20mm cannon for pesky helicopters or light tanks. So I would put this guy to A tier because unlike XM803, it meets T-80UDs, other T-72s, which have pretty damn good armor for the shell that this tank uses because it doesn't have a lot of penetration. And those premium vehicles are pretty damn popular, which means that we have to face them quite often. Stays at the top of A tier because it's still an amazing vehicle. Now we get to premium tank silver farming tier list, starting with the most insane, most overpowered T-18E2 vehicle, which is insane in every single way possible. But wait, this $200 premium vehicle has lower silver multiplier than free-to-play T1E1. Well, in that case, it goes straight to D tier because we compared it to premium vehicle farmers and not free-to-play tanks anymore. And I mean, it's great at dominating low tiers. It's extremely strong vehicle, but it's not good at farming silver. For example, for the same amount of work with T14, you're gonna earn twice as much silver as with this guy. And if we talk about T14 itself, it's a pretty damn good silver farming vehicle. It's also an absolute monster at lower tiers because of its high damage cannon, stabilizer, and insane armor. The issue arises when T14 has to meet the higher tiers. It turns from a heavy tank with great phenomenal armor into just a medium tank with penetration issues, which is pretty tough to deal with for beginner players. If you are an experienced player and you know all the weak spots, you won't have any issues at all, and then you're gonna start angling your armor, you won't have that many issues, right? But for beginners, it's going to be a pretty rough day if they get under tier. It is still a fantastic premium vehicle and you can have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, it definitely goes to A tier. Super Hellcat, extremely fun, fast boy with great cannon for a light tank. Planes are going to go after you every single time, so that's going to be extremely annoying. But if you manage to use your 50 cal effectively, then I mean, they might leave you alone. Hopefully. But usually they just crash into you and just die altogether. It's a very fun light tank with super aggressive gameplay. It goes straight to S tier. It's absolutely amazing. T20, this is probably the most nerfed vehicle in WarThunder's history. It was getting nerf after nerf after nerf, and even after all those nerfs, it's still a pretty good premium vehicle. Obviously, it's not the dominant beast that it used to be, but it's not bad. It's a pretty good normal medium tank, kind of more towards the light side. So yeah, it goes to A tier. It's not a bad option. M26 T99, one update, these rockets one-shot absolutely everyone. The second update, they stopped doing damage altogether. The next update, they start doing damage again. It's very, very inconsistent. At the end of the day, it's a fun vehicle until Plane kills you with his machine guns by just shooting these rockets. So you better use them early till there are no planes at all. It's just a solid good M26 with extra spice on top of it. So I would say it's a B tier. T114. This is my first high tier premium tank that I got. It is extremely fun vehicle to play with because it has great heat grenades which can be sent every 2.5 seconds towards the enemy mouse, which in turn will go straight through its armor no problem. Super fast, super small, super fun thing overall. If a dude that you kill has a plane, he's 100% going to respawn and try to cry bomb you back because you have no armor. It's extremely easy to kill a T114 with a plane. So I mean, it's a curse in a way. You know what? I'm gonna put it to A tier because it is extremely fun to play with, but you have to be very, very careful while playing with it because it has zero survivability and sometimes it just decides to stop dealing damage altogether, which is inconsistency, and that's T54E1. Man, do I love how this thing looks, but actually it's just a very average medium tank. 5-second reload sounds good on paper, but knowing the fact that you need about 3 shots to take a guy out because of extremely low damage that this thing deals puts it at C tier. Because after 3 kills, you will be waiting a whole minute to just load in 1 shell, which is extremely annoying. Oh, by the way, it also has no stabilizer, it is very slow, pretty much no armor, and has a very old rangefinder. While guys you usually fight have laser rangefinders, full stabilized APFS DSs that will go straight through you, no problem. So yeah, it's just gonna be a little bit painful to play with this thing. It's not bad, but I mean, there's way better options. Cligbator, definitely not made for beginners because it's a high skill, high reward vehicle, which with good map knowledge will bring you a good amount of silver. However, main purpose of this Abrams is researching the tech tree, not silver farming. And because most unexperienced players buy this tank, your teams will be gone in like 50 seconds, bro. You gonna lose a lot, unless you're playing with friends. Since getting lots of kills is harder in high tiers because there's a lot more one death levers, big maps, helicopters, drones, all that kind of stuff. It's just Clickbait is a good vehicle. It's just the teams suck, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to split Cligbator into two. So for experienced players, I will place Cligbator at A tier because it is a very good vehicle. However, for beginners that still don't have a lot of friends that play WarThunder, it goes to B tier. M1 KVT, great Abrams. Beginners might find it a little bit difficult to penetrate enemies at first, but after they learn the weak spots, it becomes a pretty serious tank in their skill set. I would recommend it for more experienced players, the same way with the Cligbator as well, and I would put it to A tier because I personally like this tank a lot, but I don't like it as much as the next guy, which is XM1. This is basically a light tank in a medium tank's body. It's basically Abrams, but just in lower tiers. Random damage of the shell will end up dealing damage to your keyboard instead of the enemy, but in general, I love it. I might have just found the rhythm for this thing, but you know, it's not bad. I like it. So it goes straight to A tier. Wolfpack. The problem is wheels, which makes it awkward whenever you need to make tight turns, and it requires great map knowledge as well. It's more like for some maps, it is S tier. For other maps, it is C tier. So as a solo single tank, it's not that great because it is a very situational tank. But in premium tank setups, it is a pretty damn good vehicle. So for setups, Wolfpack is A tier. But as a single premium tank vehicle, it goes to B tier because it is very situational and you're not going to use it for perfect situations only. So yeah, and the last but definitely not least, T29, which is the king of silver farming for USA. It has great silver multiplier, higher silver multiplier than M1 Cligbator, by the way, insane cannon, great armor, good mobility for a heavy tank, plenty of machine guns, great survivability, beginner friendly. It's just a great tank overall. However, do not take it to higher tiers because it's going to suffer and it will lose the biggest benefit, which is armor. This tank will just allow you to chill, listen to podcasts or music, whatever you do, and just farm silver like there's no tomorrow. Also, you can just upgrade your setup by just buying M46 later on, which is also a very good premium tank. And now you have a premium tank setup, which is absolutely amazing. But we'll talk about him a little bit later. So yeah, this tank is an absolute beast. Definitely goes to S tier, no questions asked. Top of the S tier. I think that's like the best option that you can get, probably. Subscribe, gentlemen. I'll see you next time.
Well done.